All right, welcome back to Introduction to Engineering Design and some unit conversions. Today we're going to deal with a little bit more complex of a conversion problem. And this is actually one from your homework and from the in-class exercises described here in a little more detail. I've worded it slightly different, but it is the same essential problem. So first thing we do is we want to read our problem and find out what are we asking and what do we know. So let's look at this. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of underlining here. And looking at this, the first thing that I see is you're riding your bicycle to grandmother's house. Should be an apostrophe there. The wheel circumference is 82.6 inches, and the distance to grandma's house is 3.67 miles. How many revolutions does your wheel spin or turn during the trip? So to understand that question, what we need to do is first explain what does the circumference of a wheel mean. So here's the center of my bicycle wheel, and it goes around in close to a circle. So if I took a string and I wrapped it around my bicycle wheel, there's a few spokes for you. That string, when I unwrapped it, starting from 0 here, its distance would be the circumference of the wheel. So in practical application, if I start out at my house and I go to grandma's house, the problem is asking how many times does my wheel spin, or how many lengths that are equivalent to the circumference, which I've shown yellow right here. So there's my string going around the wheel, and I'm pulling it off a little bit. How many times does that string unwrap in the trip? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So that's what the question is asking, is how many revolutions? So the units that we're in right now is we know we are in 3.67 miles. So I'm going to write down things that we know from the problem. We also know that 1 revolution of my wheel equals to the circumference, 82.6 inches. And that's good. But let's talk about the units that we need to go from. I need to go from miles to revolutions. So let's talk about some of the different formulas I can use to do that, different conversion factors. So I'm going to start out, and I'm just going to write units out here. So I'm starting out in miles, and I've got 3.67, and that's given in my problem. The first thing I want to convert between is I want to convert between miles and feet, because that's a pretty easy one. And I know that 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. And you can find that in your formula sheet if you did not know that. 1 mile, 5,280. So remember, we go the units that we are in to the units that we desire in our ratio. The second ratio that I want to develop, or conversion factor, is I want to go from feet to inches, because my diameter of the wheel is in inches. So let's do that one, and let's say that going from feet, so that goes in the denominator, to inches in the numerator, and I'm going to say 1 foot equals 12 inches. That is equal to 1, and I need to put that over here as my equivalency. And now, my third conversion factor, I'm in inches. Now I want to go to revolutions. So now I'm going to go from inches to revolutions, and you'll see that I have that right here. So I want to go 82.6 inches is 1 revolution. And that equals to my answer, and my answer will come out from miles. It will come out in, as I go through and cancel my units, my inches will cancel out, my feet will cancel out, my miles will cancel out, and you'll see that I'll be left in revolutions. So let's do the math real quick here. We have 5,280 times 12 times 1, and divide that by 82.6. Actually, let's back that up. Let's do the multiplication this way. I want to multiply 3.67 times 5,280 times 12 times 1, and then divide that by the numbers in my numerator. And that'll just be 82.6. So 3.67 times 5,280 times 12 divided by 82.6. And I end up with 2,000. Oops, sorry about that. I end up with a mess. 2,815, and I'm just going to go 0.15 revolutions. So if the question was, how many revolutions does your wheel spin during the trip, and I said to two significant digits, it would be that. If I asked you how many revolutions did it need to turn to get there, I'd have to round up to the next unit. But let's leave it right there for now, 2,815.15. So that's a complex, or a more complex, multi-step conversion problem that hopefully makes sense. Remember, our steps that we did are exactly the same as if we did a single-step conversion. What I did was, the first thing I did was I wrote some equivalency equations. The second thing I did was I developed my ratios with the concept of I want to go units I'm in, to, and the third thing is I multiply or apply my ratios to my problem. So that's it. Thanks for watching.